As the midsize sedan segment has started to really dwindle off because of the ever-popular shift towards SUVs because of their ride, their comfort, as well as their utility, it's no surprise that many automakers are leaving this segment. I'm talking about the Chevrolet Malibu and the Ford Fusion are being canceled for 2020 or after 2020. But Hyundai is taking a different approach here. Right here is the 2020 Hyundai Sonata Limited, which means it's got absolutely everything, and Hyundai dosed it with a shit ton of technology, a gorgeous look, and one of the best interiors of the class. So today, I'm gonna take a look at this 2020 Hyundai Sonata Limited in this gorgeous stormy sea color, and we're gonna see if Hyundai put a lot of time and effort into this dying segment to hopefully revive the midsize family sedan. But I first wanna give a very huge shout out to Piazza Hyundai of Pottstown and Paulson Peerless, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, for allowing me to come out and review the 2020 Sonata Limited. Also, he was the one that hooked me up with my brand new 2016 Hyundai Tucson Limited with the Ultimate Package. So guys, I will leave contact information down for them below, and I'm so thankful that I'm getting to review this 2020 Sonata Limited and bring you guys my first ever Hyundai review. So back in 1985, Hyundai decided to come out with the Sonata, which was the first generation, and it was a midsize sedan meant to compete towards the Toyota Camry and Honda Accord at the time. Now 1985 is 35 years ago. Let that sink in. The Sonata's been around for 35 years, which is insane considering that the Ford Fusion's only been around since about 2003 or 2004 or 5. Can't remember exactly. So this 2020 Sonata has just entered its 8th generation, and Hyundai took a lot of design cues from a lot of their other cars and grafted it onto this thing. But now let's go ahead and talk competition. You've got competitors like the Ford Fusion, Honda Accord, as well as Toyota Camry, Nissan Altima, as well as the Volkswagen Passat. But now, let's find out if the Sonata is really worth the investments. So let's start about talking about the styling of the 2020 Sonata. Personally, I really love the look of this thing. It looks mean, aggressive, and it definitely looks very youthful and very millennial focused. Now, a lot of people may say that this thing actually looks like a catfish. To be honest, I can kind of see it, but I'm telling you what, this is one darn sexy catfish. Up here on this limited trim, you have 4 LED projector headlights. They're full LEDs. You will also get LEDs on lower trims. You also have an LED turn signal here that also doubles down as your daytime running light. But one of the newest and weirdest quirks of this thing, and definitely one of the most interesting things in the automotive industry, is that they still keep that same chrome strip that ran around the back, but instead, this is actually a faded daytime running light that when the daytime running lights are off, this is completely a chrome piece. But when you turn it on, it's a fading light that goes from bright to dark as you go back, which is one of the most unique design features that I've ever seen in an automotive vehicle out on the market. I'm really happy that Hyundai decided to add that kind of a quirk, and it makes this thing look really nice and really distinctive. Now coming up front again, here's the big grille. This is Hyundai's new cascading grille. They have a new name for it. I'm not 100% sure. I forget the name. But here's your Hyundai logo. It houses a sensor. You can see that there's a black chin spoiler here. The base model SE comes with a different front end. But as you step up to the SEL, SEL Plus, and Limited trims, you will get this exact look. Now there's some fake vents here, but there is a functional vent that comes back here. and also feeds into this little side in the back here, so it creates an air curtain. But there's also another air curtain over here as well, which is kind of strange. But as you can see, front parking sensors, there's quite a bit going on. It did take a little bit for me to get used to when I first started, when I first seen this thing out in, when it debuted. But let me tell you, as soon as I saw it, I was awestruck because it looks sexy and it looks so youthful. So I'm thankful that Hyundai decided to make this new Sonata look the part. So coming around to the side of the Sonata, well, this thing's actually just a tiny bit larger than its predecessor. It's 192.9 inches long, which is actually the largest of the segment, larger than the Ford Fusion by probably about half an inch. Its wheelbase is right on par with the segment at 111.8. It stands 56.9 inches tall, and the width is 73.2 inches. Now, as I step out to the side, you can definitely see that the Sonata is really, really aggressive looking. You can see that there's many body lines going on. There's a lot of sharp creases, all that sorts of stuff. You got an LED turn signal in here. These are not power folding mirrors, so kind of wish Hyundai would have done that, but at this price point, what do you expect? Down here, you got this really extended out side sill here, which really gives this thing a hugged up and really low down stance. These wheels are actually an 18-inch design with 235/45 series tires. Also, kind of a cool touch, the Hyundai logo is pushed out a little bit from the wheel, and it's got a metal pattern in it, which I think is really cool, and I really like that. But personally, I do not like these wheels. They are there's a little bit too much going on. I much prefer the simpler design that they had on the previous generation, but it's really a pretty cool looking alloy wheel, and it definitely sets off this car very, very nicely. Now, as I said, this little chrome strip that extends from the front all the way back is called the dynamic lasso. This has been a very, very trademark design of the Sonata. The previous generation Sonatas have had it, and I think that the previous one before that also had it too. But as you can see, it comes all the way around, wraps around here, and goes down, which I find very nice. Also, you can see that the mirror is now housed on the door, so that opens up a little window here for better visibility, which I find very nice. Also, the door handles, they're half chrome and half body color. I kind of actually like that touch. It looks funky, it looks weird, but it kind of has a little bit more luxury than I originally thought. But we will go into more on this door handle because there's a lot of thought that went into the door handle of this thing, but we're gonna do that when we jump into the interior. There is that fastback look in the roofline, which should impact rear headroom, but as I said, we will talk about that when we jump in. So just like I said, the new Sonata has got the most quirkiest rear end of the segment and out of the entire automotive industry, just like the front. You can see that these taillights take a little bit off the Honda Civic, which they have practically almost the same exact pattern. But what's different is instead of taking a light bar and putting it up on the top there, it's right back down here, which I kind of find weird. I'm still kind of getting used to that, but I think it looks cool. Also, these taillights are LEDs, a red LED turn signal. I'm not sure if these lights are full LED if you go down to the lower trims, but as you can see, the Hyundai Sonata logo is engraved out there and spread out. You also got your limited 1.6T badge over there. But also, your backup camera is very nicely integrated right in here, which I find awesome. You can see that also this does take a little bit from the Hyundai Elantra with the black bumper with the little faux diffuser here, which actually looks really aggressive. But as you can see, there's still a dual exhaust setup. Now there's an N-line version coming of the Sonata, supposedly with a 2.5 liter turbo that's supposed to make like 280 something horsepower that adds the same exhaust tips on the other side, so it's probably going to be a quad tip. Now, you might be wondering, would the trunk release be under here? No, it's a button right here on the top of the Hyundai logo. If you open the trunk, you're gonna expose yourself to probably one of the most cavernous trunks in the entire segment. This thing can hold 16 cubic foot of storage. Also, pull these little levers and you can fold the seats down. You can fold it down 60/40, which is really nice. You do have a donut compact spare wheel here, which is very nice. So it's nice to know that Hyundai decided not to put a can of Fix-A-Flat in here. But still, coming back to the rear end, this thing has probably one of the biggest ducktail spoilers in the entire automotive industry. This thing is probably sticking out about 3 inches, which I find cool. These taillights also stick out a little bit, but there's also little fins on here, which is really different, and I'm really applauding Hyundai for making something a little different. But now, let's get to the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's jump inside. Alrighty guys, before we jump into the new Sonata, let me tell you there's many ways to get in. But here is the brand new key fob for the Sonata. I apologize, it's wrapped in plastic. This is a brand new car, and I'm gonna keep the plastic on for the joy of the ownership, the new owner of this thing. But here, this key is silver accented, which is really nice. Lock, unlock, your trunk unlock, your panic. You got your remote smart parking assist, which comes only on the limited trims. And you've also got remote start finally, so all you gotta do, lock the car, push down, hold the button, and the car starts right up for you. But let me show you one of the best things about this new Sonata. It is practically a Tesla. Watch this. This is called Remote Smart Park Assist. Push the button and the car will start moving forward all on its own. I am not touching anything but the button. As soon as I let go, the car stops. If I need to back it out of a parking spot, I just do that. It puts itself into reverse, and then it starts backing up, which is really absolutely incredible. And this is one of the best features of the new Sonata. And Hyundai, I don't know what the heck you're doing, but this is incredible. So let's come up to the door handle here. As I said, it's chrome accented. You can push this little sensor here to lock the doors. Hyundai does a sensor behind the door finally. Thank God. But that's not all. You also have a little key card here that is actually registered to the car. So you could just, as you can see, it locks the door. There you go. You just put it up against the door handle, which is very nice. But that's not it, guys. Let me pull my phone out. The Sonata is the first ever Hyundai to get Hyundai's smart digital. But the Sonata is Hyundai's first ever car to get the digital smart key. I have an Android phone, Samsung Galaxy S10e, and this only works for the Android phones, and where you actually can put a actual key onto your phone and put your phone up against the door handle, and it will unlock the car, and you can also put it in the wireless charging pad and start the car and drive. So you don't need the keys. But let's go jump inside, and holy moly, it's gorgeous. So let's step inside the new Sonata. And first off, I gotta say, this thing actually sits really nice. So let's shut the door. As typical Hyundai, it's got a really solid door. But let's go ahead and take the key fob and stick it over here, which is, you can also, I think, put the key card here on the wireless charge pad and push the metal accented start button to start the engine. Now, first things first, what you're gonna see is the new 12.3 inch digital instrument cluster. This is the exact same instrument cluster out of the Hyundai Palisade, which I find very cool. And also, it's very customizable. You got drive modes here. You got 4 drive modes. You got Smart, Custom, and then you've got Sport, which actually changes the whole tachometer setup. And you can also click it back to normal to show that. If you click it down, it doesn't do anything. You can click on the button here to change the settings to show your navigation, your current RPMs. You can go back and see your fuel economy, your accumulated info, your driver attention warning system, your tire pressures, your drive mode, because this is a smart mode. And funny enough, look at how responsive and how clear and crisp this thing actually refreshes and shows. It's got to be the clearest and most dynamic LCD screen that I've seen. I think it's actually better than Audi's virtual cockpit. But obviously it's not going to be as technological as that. But coming back to the steering wheel, it is a 4-spoke design. It is a brand new steering wheel. It's got a metal accent going all the way across here. I really love this steering wheel. The metal feels very nice. I don't know if it's genuine or it's plastic, but if it's plastic, it's really stunning. But the steering wheel is very comfortable. It's also heated on this limited trim. Steering feel is really direct. It's very light. I really like that. You got paddle shifters here, which they feel like metal, but as I flick it, it's plastic, but it has a metallic sound to it, which is really nice. I was not expecting Hyundai to put paddle shifters on this thing, but they did that with the Palisade. So anyway, here's your new turn signal controls. You got your headlight control over here as always, and they always show up on the instrument cluster here. As you put on your turn signal, Hyundai has the blind spot camera. They call this blind spot view monitor, or BVM for short. It doesn't just show up on the driver's side. It shows up on the passenger side. I am absolutely astonished with that. Hyundai, you guys took something that Honda made very well and had put and made it even better. But anyway, now let's go over interior materials. It is soft touch right here. There's some stitching. I don't know if this is real or fake, but it's also soft touch down here. There's very thin air vents, which I kind of find surprising. Up here, it's hard touch. I kind of wish the Hyundai would have actually made that soft touch, but you got a cost cut somewhere. Coming over to the door panels, it's also soft touch. Here is your new stereo system. I think it's the first ever implementation on a Hyundai of a 12-speaker Bose audio system. It sounds awesome. Coming over to the door panel here, this lower section, there's a metal accented grab handle that has a trim piece that extends. There's some more of that leather or vinyl, I'm not 100% sure what it is, with some more contrast stitching. You got this floating door handle here, which is really thick. It's really padded. It feels very nice. There's auto up-down windows for only the fronts, which is okay. At least it's better than having it just driver. Coming over here, there's your air vent as well. Back here is your brightness control for your LCD and everything. Your lane departure warning system, your trunk release, your traction control off, and your electronic parking brake. You pull on it to put it on, push on it to take it off. Coming back to the steering wheel, it is a tilt telescopic design. It has got a lot of range of motion, which is very nice. So if you can, it'll definitely keep you, you can definitely find a spot that's very comfortable. The heated steering wheel works really well. It's comfortable. It doesn't burn your hands like the Gladiator, which I find very nice. It's also heated the whole way around the steering wheel, which is awesome, except for this part here. But even this little piece here is, you know, nicely feeling. The stitching, personally, it's okay, but I think that Hyundai could have done a little bit better quality as far as the stitching on the steering wheel, but this is one of the earlier models, so I'm going to forgive it for that. You can also get up to 3 interior colors on this thing. There's a camel color. There's also a light gray color, and there's also just this black color, which this one is. But coming over here is the brand new 10.25-inch BlueLink infotainment system. This is one of the biggest infotainment systems of the class, and Hyundai is actually the first one to pass over the 8-inch mark out of any vehicle in the segment. It's got touch capacitive buttons on the sides here, which actually, I really like it. It feels nice, but since this is the first ever Hyundai I reviewed, I'm going to go over this system. Let's start off with navigation. The navigation system is really snappy, really quick. It's got pinch to zoom. It doesn't have the tilt, but it is what it is. The navigation system on these things, I don't quite trust it because sometimes it does take me in wrong directions, and it tried to take me through someone's yard one day, which I was not happy about. But as you can see, with this, now you have a 3-section layout. So you have your navigation, your FM radio, or your current Bluetooth radio stats, as well as your weather, which I think you could probably change that. Yes, you can. You can just hold it down and do that. Swipe over to the left, and here is where you can access everything. One of the weirdest things is this sounds of nature thing. I'm not sure what this is for, but it's kind of weird. But let's go back to the radio because I don't want to hear that all day. You got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as expected. You can click over here and go to your setup and everything. I really love this infotainment system. I love Hyundai's infotainment systems because they're so simple, they're so easy. Even a 90-year-old grandpa could probably get through this thing no problem. Coming down to the climate vents, this is a brand new design for Hyundai. It mainly consists of toggle switches, but as you can see, the LCD displays here are integrated into the temperature control knob. They're knurled, which is very nice. You actually have your volume button up here as well. That's also knurled. But here's something different. Hyundai has a 3-level automatic climate system. If you push on it, it will automatically adjust itself. You can see it says high. If you push it again, it goes to medium, and push it again to go low. If you just push it again, and it'll go right back to normal. You can toggle out of that by just pushing that switch. Heated steering wheel, your off button, your front defroster. This has heated and ventilated front seats, which I find very nice. You can also just pull on the toggle to cancel it. The ventilated seats work very well in all Hyundai products. I have that in my new Tucson, and I absolutely love it. Your fan speed, your mode, your passenger side has that too, AC as well, dual zone climate. Here's your hazard button, which actually lights up. Your metal accented start button. Coming down here, you got one 12-volt port here, and you got 2 USB. This one's a fast charge. This one's a data transfer, so it can connect to Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Here you have a Qi wireless charge pad with NFC connection, so I think that you could probably put your phone there and it'll automatically connect to the infotainment system. But coming down here is one of the most controversial pieces of the new Sonata. This is a push-button shift-by-wire transmission selector for the 8-speed automatic. You got park over here. Then you have reverse, which if you put it in reverse, you can see that the backup camera has some pretty good resolution, but I've seen better. It has trajectory, which is very nice. And it's also got a surround view system, also with trajectory, which I find really cool. But it's also got multiple camera modes, so you can zoom in on the rear end. You can also see what's on your sides because there's cameras mounted under the mirrors. And you've got neutral. And then you've also got drive, which I find very nice. What I find very nice is that Hyundai actually decides to keep the camera up, even if you go out of reverse into drive. But watch this. This is really cool. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. It doesn't just go from drive to park when you select it. If you go from park to drive, it actually lights up in the sequential order. I find that pretty cool. Coming down here, you got your parking sensor on and off button, your surround view camera. Here's your drive mode. Down here, you got auto hold, your remote forward, backward button here, which is cool. Coming over here to the console here, it is leather wrapped. It's got some very nice stitching. It feels very high quality. It's very soft and very long. Pull on it, and you can open up a really deep center cubby here, which honestly I think is one of the biggest of the segment. Coming over here to the glove box, it's dampened. It's not lined with felt. It is absolutely enormous. And Hyundais are always known for having enormous glove boxes. Coming back over to the door panel, there's some extra storage down here as well. The seats, they're 8-way power adjustable for both the front driver and passenger side, but the driver has 2-way lumbar only. I wish that Hyundai would have made this 4-way, but obviously these seats are extremely comfortable. But yeah, this thing is absolutely crazy. Oh, I forgot to mention, you also have memory seats for the driver's side. Coming up here, let's see if it passes the visor test. 1, 2, 3. It goes back the whole entire way. It passes. Awesome job, Hyundai. Also, it retains the same Hyundai quirk. If you forget to leave that light on and you close the visor, the actual button is designed to fold in with the head or the visor here, which is nice. And here you got LED lighting. Here you got a panoramic sunroof, which isn't exactly really big, but as you can see, this does open actually kind of small, but you know, it is what it is. I'm going to leave that open because I want to let some air in. Up here you got your buttons for your BlueLink telematics system, which I strongly recommend you get if you have a new Sonata or you buy a Hyundai. Because of my accident, it definitely came in handy. Here you have a nearly frameless rearview mirror. It's auto dimming with HomeLink HomeLink in there as well. Looking at the back, the visibility is a little bit tiny. I really am kind of shocked that it's that small. Also, the mirrors are kind of small too, I noticed. So Hyundai could have kind of made those a little bit bigger, which I kind of wish. But visibility is still pretty good if you look out the front because of these helper side windows. The A-pillars is pretty thin because they use advanced high-strength steel. But up front of this new Sonata, it is absolutely a stunner. I'm so happy that Hyundai decided to make this thing really look like an Audi. But now let's jump into the back and find out if the Sonata has taken over the legroom champ of the Honda Accord. Alrighty guys, so jumping into the back of the Sonata, you can see again, there is a really big fastback sloping roofline, but opening the door, it opens real wide. It almost opens 90 degrees, which I find very nice. But stepping in, you can obviously see this thing does have a normal sedan step-in height. If I do put my head back, my head brushes against the ceiling, but I am 6'2", give or take maybe an inch or two. But as you can see, I've still got tons of leg room. Hyundai's always great with their packaging in the interiors with people, and it definitely does show in the Sonata. There's also little vents here as well, but let's shut the door, which I need to shut it a little bit harder. It sounds relatively solid. Let's see if it passes. Oh no, Hyundai! It fails the window test. But let's open the door back up and put the window up. It's also soft touch here. I'm really surprised also to say that this is also soft touch here, but you do have a very tiny kind of cubby back here, which I find a little bit annoying. But this can seat 5 people. There's no heated rear seats. There's no ventilated seats out back either. I do kind of wish that Hyundai would have at least put heated seats back here. You got 2 rear air vents and you have a USB charge port. You can also fold down this center armrest to expose 2 cup holders. This is also very softly padded. But as I jump over to the driver's side, I have this seat the whole way back in its tracks, set up for a larger driver. It's tight, but I've still got a little bit over than a finger's worth of legroom, so I probably have about 1/2 inch to 3/4. As I said, same thing. These windows are not auto up down, but personally, I think that the new Sonata is a very airy, open, luxurious, and definitely it befits of a Hyundai badge. But now we have to go under the hood because that's where a lot of things change for the new Sonata. Alrighty guys, so under the hood of the 2020 Sonata, there's a lot that's different compared to the previous generation. What I find nice is that normally many automakers cut the hood line off quite a bit, but the new Sonata does not do that. They actually have a total hood release here. But one thing I'm very nice and very happy to find is hood struts, so you don't have to use a prop rod. This engine that is straight out of the new SmartStream engine family. This is the 1.6 liter turbocharged direct injected 4-cylinder. It makes 180 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 195 pound-foot of torque between 1,500 and 4,500 RPM. This engine's hooked up to a new 8-speed automatic transmission. But you may be wondering, where's the 2-liter turbo that was in the previous generation? That's gone. That is being replaced by the new N-Line engine, which is a new 2.5 liter turbo with, I believe, around 280, 290 horsepower. Gas mileage for this thing, for this top spec limited model, it's 27 city, 36 highway, and 31 combined. Hyundai's never been really too good with their gas economy, but I'm telling you, this new Sonata can get up to 38 miles to the gallon on the SEL Plus trim. That's quite a bit of mileage, and that's actually nearing the Honda Accord, which is really awesome considering that this thing weighs around 3,300 pounds. It's actually one of the lightest cars in the segment. I think that the Accord is about 34, 35, but I know that the Fusion is really hefty because it's very old and it's got a lot of stuff in it. It's only front wheel drive, guys. That's the only sad thing that I really wish Hyundai would have done. They should have put all-wheel drive in this thing, but there's a reason behind it. Hyundai said that the take rate would be probably quite low on this thing for all-wheel drive. I kind of don't see it because now the 2021 Kia Optima, or K5 if you live over in the other side of the world, is going to come with all-wheel drive. And the Optima is built on the same exact platform as the Sonata, but yet it could still get all-wheel drive. I really wish Hyundai would have done something about that, but you know, it is what it is. But like I said, this thing is probably going to be very reliable, very fuel efficient, as well as a very torquey and fun to drive car with a fun to drive engine. So definitely I would spring for this turbo because I think that the 2.5 liter is a little bit underpowered, but we will save that maybe for a future review. But now let's talk about safety because the new Sonata is really shocking Honda, Nissan, and Toyota with all their safety tech. So the new Sonata, to start out with, comes with forward collision avoidance assist with pedestrian detection. Okay, back up. Go. Go. Bad Sonata, bad Sonata. We've also got lane keep assist and lane following assist, as well as highway drive assist, where this thing can actually drive itself on the highway. Yes, you heard that right. This is actually the second Hyundai to actually get this feature. You've also got driver attention warning. Whoa. You've also got parking collision avoidance assist rear to stop you if there's a car that comes out of your blind spot if there's a car coming across traffic out of your blind spot, and that definitely will help you out in a Walmart parking lot, because I'm not exactly the best at backing out of a Walmart parking lot, because I use my rear cross traffic alert system quite a bit. And also this does come with it, so yeah, just be careful in the Walmart parking lots, people. If you got a car with rear cross traffic alert, I'd suggest you use it. You've also got rear occupant alert, which if you turn the car off, after a little bit of time, as it does its thing, it'll yell at you and tell you, check the rear seats, because there's a lot of kids that are being left in cars nowadays, and honestly, I think you need to pay more attention if you have a kid in the back seat, because definitely for sure I know that some kids can be pretty loud if they're not sleeping. But put something back there that's very valuable and you absolutely need, like your cell phone or something like that, in the back there so you don't forget it. You've also got blind spot collision avoidance assist with blind spot warning, obviously. That is actually standard on the SEL and up trims. It's not available on the base SE, but only on this limited trim do you get the blind spot view monitor on both sides. As you can see, my tripod is there, but as I switch over to the passenger side, you can see some beautiful Genesis G80s over there that I want to review really bad. Alrighty guys, so unfortunately I won't be able to take the Sonata out on the road, but Paulson told me I can drive around the dealership here and stay in the lot, so at least I can give you guys a main impression of the new Sonata. But first things first, obviously this is a family sedan. I do want to say this thing kind of rides, it feels like it sits higher up off the ground compared to some of the other cars that I had. Like the Elantra really sat low to the ground and it really felt like a low car. This has more of a high seating position, even if the seat's the whole way down right now. Exactly. So again, thanks to both Paulson, Pierless, and Piazza Hyundai of Pottstown. And first setting off, one thing I noticed, the gas pedal's a little bit dull. I'm in sport or smart mode right now. I'm gonna go to normal mode. But first setting off, I noticed this thing's pretty quiet. This thing is very smooth. The steering is very direct. It's a little bit lazy, I have to say. That's one thing that I kind of am not, happy about, because normally Hyundais have got really darty steering, but here I am steering this and it's requiring a good bit of turn to, actually do something. A little bit of tire spin. This thing does have a pretty good launch. It's not exactly, super, it's not supposed to be a sports sedan, obviously, but I'm going to go back into the sport mode and see how that feels. Then the steering really firms up and it really does get communicative. I really like that. And plus the gauges change. Paddle shifter mode. I'm surprised this thing does not feel jumpy. The 8-speed automatic is very, very, very well tuned. Paddle shifters are very responsive, which I find awesome. Actually, I gotta say, the suspension is just a tiny, tiny bit firm. It's a little bit too firm for me, but I am really surprised at actually how comfortable the suspension is. I thought that the Sonata might ride a little bit more choppier, like the Fusion. I'm going to put the sun visor down. I'm going to go back this way. I really do love that blind spot view camera, and it actually really does work. It works at any speeds, even standstill, which I find absolutely awesome. This is a very torquey engine, so this is definitely one of the best turbocharged engines I've reviewed. So personally, I think that the Sonata is a very great family sedan. It's very smooth. The suspension is just a touch too firm for me. But I gotta say, this is actually one of the best riding midsize sedans in the segment. And I actually think this rides a little bit better than my Hyundai Tucson that I currently own. And my Tucson's got kind of a firm ride, but, you know, yeah.